Hello, Mordran here. Today I'm going to be answering some questions for Antichrist magazine. First of all, I'd like to introduce my project, Mordran. It is mainly an atmospheric black metal project, although it also has influences from other genres, such as post-rock, dungeon synth, dark ambient, dark folk. I make all the music myself, and I mix and master it, and I also make the artwork myself. Mordran is a Swedish project, even though I am not Swedish myself. I'm actually from Spain, but I started Mordran when I moved here to Sweden back in 2021. And I say that Mordran is Swedish because it is very much a product of its environment. The Swedish forests, the Swedish winter, they are huge influences when I make music for Mordran. So definitely a Swedish project. The first question that we have here is, what is the meaning behind the band name? So it's kind of a funny question because the actual answer is that it has no meaning. It is just a word that I came up with when I was working on the first release for Mordran, Forbidden Knowledge. And that record has a lot of themes of witchcraft, occultism, black magic. So I basically just came up with a name that fit with those themes. Can you tell us a little bit about the Midnight Woods? The Midnight Woods is the upcoming album by Mordran. It is going to be released on the 29th of March 2024, and it's going to be released digitally on Bandcamp, Spotify, and all of those, as always. And there's also going to be a small run of tapes made by Fiat Productions, which is an independent US label that I am working with for this record, and hopefully for future ones as well. Musically, it is an album that differs a little bit from previous works that I've produced with Mordran, in that it has less vocals and more melodic guitars, basically. When it comes to the themes of the album, a very big one is escapism. The main topic of this album is escaping the real world and going into this magical forest. So the main inspiration behind that is the fact that I suffer from anxiety and insomnia, and sometimes I have a pretty tough time falling asleep at night. So I like to imagine myself getting lost in this like huge forest as a way of just making my mind blank. And yeah, I basically try to portray that concept in the music in the Midnight Woods. Uh, the next question is, can you talk about the lyrics on this release? And I feel like I basically have done that already, right? Yeah, the main themes in the lyrics are going to be escapism, nature, the well of dreams, and the separation between the uh, world of wakefulness and the world of dreams. Basically, those will be the main ones. The next question is, can you tell us a little bit about the album cover art? So I made it myself, even though in the credits of the album it is credited to a different name, not Mordran, because I make digital art under the name M. Casas. So if you'd like to find more of my artwork online, you can look up my art station by looking up that name. And yeah, I basically make digital art. This particular painting I made for a different work, actually, by Mordran, that just ended up not coming to fruition. So I had it in the backlog for a while, and it just felt right for this album, so I used it. What do you do for your livelihood outside of music? Well, definitely not music, being such a small artist, but I teach English. When did you first discover your interest in metal music? Well, it must have been back when I was either 11 or 12, something like that. And the first few bands I listened to were In Flames and System of a Down, probably. And a few years later, I found out about black metal. And I remember that when I first started listening to black metal, I had this strange feeling of part wonder at the fact that this was something that sounded completely different to anything else that I had listened to before. And part like I was doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing. It was funny, but I really liked black metal, and I ended up really getting into it and making it myself. Uh, what obstacles have you faced as a musician, and how did you overcome them? Well, being a small artist, I feel like the main obstacle that all small independent artists have to face first and foremost is being able to produce our music, right? Making music is not the easiest thing. You need quite a bit of gear, quite a bit of knowledge. So it's taken me 10 years, a bit over 10 years actually, to get to this point. And I am still far from being fully satisfied with the music I make. So yeah, it's a journey and you learn and you make mistakes. I've made a lot of really shitty music that I'm not proud of, but it's all a learning experience for sure. There's another obstacle that I feel is more in the future that I feel is gonna affect a lot of independent musicians, which is the fact that the landscape of getting independent music out there on the internet is changing right now. We have companies like Spotify making their payment system a lot more hostile for small artists, and we have Bandcamp being bought out by a bigger company and probably becoming a lot worse in the near future. So that is definitely something that concerns me, not just for my own sake, but for the sake of independent music in general. And we'll see what we do to overcome that. Is there a specific non-metal genre or artist you'd love to collaborate with? Uh, I don't know actually. I'm not very big in collaborations with other artists, so probably not that. When it comes to non-metal genres, I mean, I've kind of already done that. One of my previous works with Mordran, So Falls the Night, is actually a mix of black metal with lo-fi beats. So there's definitely something unusual that I've already done. In the future, I don't know, maybe incorporating more classical music elements in some record could be interesting. Something like that. How do you perceive the evolution of black metal over the years? Uh, in one word, favorably. I mean, black metal started very dark. Like, I'm sure we are all familiar with the first black metal bands and all the stuff they did and what they thought, what the politics were. So I'm definitely very happy that we've moved on from that for the most part. I know that there are still a lot of undesirable people in the genre, unfortunately, and I don't know if we are going to be able to fully get rid of that anytime soon, but I feel like there's a lot of positive steps that have been taken and that are being taken. There's a lot of people working very hard to make black metal a more inclusive genre, and I really, really appreciate all of that. All right, now we have some rapid fire questions. The first one is guitar shredding or drum blast beats. I'm gonna have to go with drum blast beats because I really like the atmospheric quality of them, and I am not much of a shredding enjoyer myself. Memorable concert you've attended. I'm not much of a concert goer either. I feel like I am painting myself as a very boring person right now. I just don't like very big groups of people, so I tend to avoid those. And concerts tend to be in that category. The next question is 12 a.m. studio session or 6 a.m. rehearsal? I'm gonna go with the studio session. I used to be in bands with other people. I didn't love it. I like having complete creative control of the music I make. I might be a bit of a control freak in that way. So I much rather just be in the studio on my own. Finally, what's your guilty pleasure song? I don't know about guilty pleasure, but something I've been really into lately, and especially while I was working on the Midnight Woods, recording the music, uh, is soundtracks, and particularly the soundtrack of the show Twin Peaks from the 90s. So that particular show influenced this record a little bit. And if you're careful, if you pay attention, you might actually hear some nods to the Twin Peaks soundtrack here in the Midnight Woods. So there is one more question, which is what are the future plans for Mordran? And I feel like just more of the same. Basically, I make the music I want, I release it whenever and however I want, and that is what I plan to keep doing. And along the way, if I can keep collaborating with labels like Feared that just give me complete freedom to do anything I want and have good values that I share, then I'll definitely be interested in doing more of that for sure. Other than that, yeah, I just hope to keep making music for the years to come, and hopefully someone will be interested in listening to it. Other than that, that is the end of the questions. Thank you very much, Antichrist Magazine, for having me, and thank you very much to everyone who listens to Mordran. Your support means the world to me. Bye bye.